Hello and welcome to Card Shop Insiders, a podcast where we combine decades of experience from both sides of the counter to take you inside the business of local game stores and collectible gaming hobbies. I'm Noah, and I play games, lots of them.
I'm John. I'm the card shop owner. I've been in this business 26 years, and I can't wait to retire full-time.
All right, John. Well, today we've got a few things that we've prepped up on the agenda. Folks, we're going to go over some news. We've got news in most of the major games that John carries here in the store. And then we're going to have a main topic where we talk about our last section about financing your dream or how to get the money.
It's actually the next to the last section. I added another session to it, so it's a four-parter. This is the third part.
John's making it, he's stretching the content.
No, I'm just winging it as I go along. There's more stuff.
Right. We'll wrap it up with some educational entertainment and then talk about how grateful we are for folks that support the show financially and otherwise. Let's jump into the news, though, John. Which game do you want to start with?
First on your list.
Star Wars.
Star Wars.
All right. Big news from Star Wars last week. The Galactic Championship, the annual World Championship event, is going to be taking place in July of 2025 at the Venetian Casino and Resort in Vegas.
Cool.
What's that say about their confidence in the game?
It's expensive.
I would think so.
Yeah. Are you going?
I don't know.
You should convince your wife to let you go.
Well, I think it's the week before Gen Con, which means that I will be probably working the bachelor life because that's when my wife usually goes up to visit her family. So I think we've got a chance. Maybe.
She doesn't listen to this.
Maybe if I could find a corporate sponsor that owns a store that needs me to go and do market research.
I could tell you one that's not going to be.
Yeah, but I think that's pretty exciting. They're not putting it in like some Holiday Inn Express in Topeka, Kansas. They're going big. They're putting the first one in Vegas. They want to make a big deal out of it.
Now, why are you belittling Topeka, Kansas?
Because I've been there.
Okay.
It's sad.
Okay. I hope we don't get any viewers from Topeka.
Actually, if we do, tell us why you like Topeka. That'll help out in the algorithm.
Okay.
Other stuff for Star Wars. There was a new post on Reddit that came out yesterday or the day before. I know that stores, including you, are getting your Star Wars product in for the pre-release next week. And one of the stores fessed up that, he mixes his personal order with his business order. And so he decided to open up all his cards and opened a few boxes and a pre-release kit and some other stuff. And while he was playing with his cards, he realized that the backs felt kind of weird. And so he flips over the pile of cards and half of them were misprinted.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They've got no text on the back.
None whatsoever.
Well, some were blank and some were like half.
Great.
Yeah. So there's printing errors in the stuff that's been shipped.
Great quality control.
Well, that's what he brought up on Reddit was like, it's a QC problem. Let's see.
It's just another dagger in the credibility of Star Wars, though. That's the problem.
Actually, it looks like none of them are full blank, but they all have different, problems. Let's see. Open image.
If that's the only group, he should save them. And eventually they'll be worth 3 times as much money for misprints.
Well, that's kind of the thing, right?
It'd be interesting to see when I get my product in. It's coming in tomorrow.
Okay.
To see.
Here, check that out. Can you see that on your screen? Great.
Yeah, I see that.
Everybody on the podcast can see it now. This is what we're talking about.
Fantastic. So that's great. Great.
We had
great for customer service credibility, or not customer service, but quality control.
Original Reddit poster Moogerboo to the rescue on the Star Wars Unlimited Reddit thread. But yeah, he says he opened up 2 boxes and a pre-release kit, and 24 cards out of all of that had funny backings and mistakes here. But how far is it from a back of the card misprint to a front of the card misprint?
I'm sure there's some. I'm sure there's going to be some.
Yeah. But that's all I got for Star Wars this week. Did you have anything else you wanted to add about Star Wars? The next week is pre-release weekend, so the new set's coming out.
Yeah, and we could sell, from what I understand, we could sell all the products that come in. Usually you can only do the pre-release product, and then the starters and the boosters are the following week. But from my distributor, he said you could sell everything on pre-release weekend,
Let's do it.
which is good.
We can get some people in here and play some sealed and crack open a bunch of packs.
If you're going to be able to come here,
I'm going to try. I told you.
you got to lose a game.
I don't want to lose.
So if you win, then you can't be here.
That's right.
So you got to lose.
I have conflicting priorities, but my will to win may overcome. Because I'm going to be on the field, right? I'm standing on the side. I control a lot.
Oh, Jesus.
Let's jump. Stop it. All right, let's jump over to Magic. There was a lot of news in Magic this week. They had World Championships going down. And during the presentation there, they gave a lot of spoilers and stuff away for what's coming up in the next year. Did you get any of that yourself, or did you
no, but
just see
I did
the
have
stuff I put in here?
I did have a customer ask me already about the Final Fantasy coming out in June. He said, "What are you going to get?" I said, "How the hell do I know what I'm going to get? It's not even in the order queue yet." I said, "I'll get what I get." And I said, "You'll be first on the list to know that I'm getting this stuff."
All right, well, let's talk about that first. Let's talk about releases.
Okay.
So Magic announced 6 new sets. Technically, they announced like 7 new sets, but they announced 6 new tentpole sets, which are like the big sets that come out throughout the year. And they are now including Universes Beyond in that because, spoiler alert, they announced that starting with Final Fantasy, Universes Beyond is going to be legal in all formats.
Cool.
There was some pushback on that. People on the internet started saying Wizards is money greedy, blah, blah, blah. They're a corporation. Newsflash, folks, they want to make money. But Mark Rosewater, the chief designer and like steward of the game, came out with a statement explaining that like it's not a pure money grab. There was a big problem with doing these products that get a bunch of people into the game or into the product that have never played before. And then they find out that their cards aren't allowed to be played in half of the formats.
Well, that makes sense.
And so
that makes sense.
They also said it took a few years for them to understand how to design Universes Beyond cards so that they could commingle with the average Magic card. They're not overpowered, but they're not underpowered, but they're overpowered enough to be cool with the theme of whatever the Universes Beyond was. And so,
as much as people complain about Wizards, and I complain about Wizards sometimes, I think 95+% of the time they get it right.
Yeah.
They know what they're doing. They've been around the longest. They have a great track record. They help stores out. And they're making money because they have to make money. But I think they do a good job in general compared to all the other card companies.
Yeah. Well, they have the advantage of being so established, right? Like they could take 4 years to work on this Universes Beyond thing and figure out how to make it work. And they could do that while selling the product. Mm-hmm. Star Wars can't do that right now. They don't have 4 years to try to make it work.
They can't even get the damn printing right.
They got their printing wrong. When was the last time we had a major printing problem in Magic?
A long time ago.
It was.
The only problem we have with Magic sometimes is when they seal it, you get a crimp, where the crimp is on the card. But, that's a production problem.
Yeah. And that doesn't happen that often.
No, it doesn't happen.
They get some misaligned cards. You get to sell those for, $7, and that's cool.
Yeah. People are happy.
All right. But back to the news on this. So Universes Beyond is going to be legal, and they're going to use 6 core or tent post sets. Do we call them poles or posts? Anyway, Aether Drift is going to come out in February. Tarkir Dragonstorm is going to come out in April. I think both of those sets have huge potential to be popular among long-term Magic players based on the concepts and what they're going to include. Then we're going to go Universes Beyond Final Fantasy, which a lot of people are really excited for. I'm not a Final Fantasy guy, but a lot of people I know have asked about Final Fantasy Universes Beyond.
Well, when the Commander decks came out for Final Fantasy, they flew off the shelf.
Yeah.
But they were allocated. And I'm not sure if this product is going to be allocated to a certain extent.
They're calling it a tentpole thing, so I bet
it's not mainstream.
It's supposed to get the same treatment that what are we on right now? Manor? Mm-hmm. No. What are we on? We're on Duskmourn. It's like Duskmourn. This is a Duskmourn set now.
So it's a full set.
It's a full set.
Okay.
And I would assume it's not going to be restricted.
We'll see.
Edge of Eternities is back to the traditional Magic ethos. Then Universes Beyond Spider-Man will come out in, I saw somebody said it was probably November, but if you look at the way they're releasing these sets, the confirmed dates are February, April, June, and August. That's every 2 months. So 2 months from August is October. And then they've got a December release, right? So,
Yeah.
I mean,
do they have a December? Probably coming out in
well,
November.
They don't have a December release on the calendar right now, I don't know where they're going to like massage the schedule, because they said they're releasing 6 sets in 25.
I thought they were slowing down.
Yeah. Let's talk about the 7th set they're releasing in 25. Innistrad Remastered is going to get shoehorned into the January window. So you're going to get a new release in January for this Innistrad Remastered set. And there's a huge announcement with that they're going to have a serialized version of Edgar Markov, which is a big staple Commander card that people have wanted. It was a Commander Precon card, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And it's $100 card. And
it's going to be serialized.
And it's got this like horror movie poster art that they're putting on it. Like,
I wonder if Post Malone's going to try to buy number 1 serial card.
Maybe. I think I read somewhere that it's going to be through 500, but maybe they're only going to do a limited run. Maybe they'll do a 1 of 1 and a out of 500. Possibly. They do that with baseball cards, right? They have different like stampings of how rare they are. But people are really excited for that. Like the January release with this Innistrad stuff. They had a bunch of spoilers. That was cool. And then, now let's talk card shop business. They're bringing back MSRP, John.
No, they're not.
Yeah, they are.
No, they're not.
The big slide.
Not according to my distributor this morning. I talked to him about it.
They literally announced it at the event.
Maybe he didn't have that information. But the foundation set supposedly is a little bit less expensive. Now, from what I saw on the order sheet, it's only $8 cheaper at my cost. And I guess what my sales rep said this morning was, because the set's going to be around for at least a year before they come out with something else as a base set, they decided to make it a little bit more affordable. But that's not going to equate to much. I mean, and as far as what he told me, there is no restriction on MSRP. But we'll see.
Well, I didn't say they're introducing restricted MSRP.
Suggested MSRP?
So here's what we got from Wizards. So Wizards says, while stores have always been able to set their own pricing and will continue to do so, the proliferation of online marketplaces meant that whichever marketplace was first anchored arbitrarily in many people's minds by whoever listed their prices first. Those prices, for a variety of reasons, often don't reflect the value of the products and don't make sense for many local game stores. By reinstituting MSRP, we're aiming to create a consistent point of reference that helps retailers and customers make informed choices. Of course, MSRP is just a suggestion. That is what the S stands for. They wrote that, not me. And retailers can price our products however they like. But retailers and customers alike appreciate the common point of reference to make informed decisions. And then they released MSRPs for Foundations, Innistrad Remastered, and Aether Drift.
What's the, what is the first one going to be?
Foundations play boosters are $525.
Which is more than I'm charging.
Collector boosters are $24.99.
Which is more than I'm charging usually.
Starter collections will be $59.99.
It's about the same.
Jumpstart boosters are $549.
About.
Because somebody wants to pay more for Jumpstart boosters than a play booster. That's cute. Bundles are $49.99, and beginner boxes, which is the new introductory product, is $29.99. For Innistrad Remastered, the fancy shoehorn set in January, the play booster is supposed to be $6.99, and the collector boosters are $29.99.
That's pretty consistent with what the current market is.
And then Aether Drift, which is the first of the tentpole sets next year, they're supposed to be $549 for play boosters, $24.99 for collector's boosters, $34.99 for commander decks, and then there'll be bundles and a specialty bundle.
I don't agree with the commander decks at $44.99. And the problem is because what they've done is they've come up with a set of 4 commander decks, usually in a set. One of the commander decks is really popular, usually, and the other 3 are crappy. And in order for a retailer to get their money back, because sometimes they'll have to sell the not as popular one at a lesser amount, they'll have to charge more for the favorable one.
Well, the problem is they make you buy them in sets of 4.
Yeah, I can't buy them individually.
And then you sell them individually.
Right.
And so saying that they're all worth the same, but not having the same demand for all 4 is really difficult. It's not the same thing as making you buy packs in boxes or cases and you sell those. Because, even though the art on the pack, the art on Magic packs is usually all the same art, right? But if there was different art, people might prefer one over the other, but they'd still get random stuff. But we know what's in the commander decks. Like, we have the list. So I think it's a fair point. If you're having to buy a set of 4 to resell, like, you should be able to price them by demand. The one everybody wants costs more than the one nobody wants.
Yeah, I agree. In fact, the Modern Horizons 3 right now, there's one deck that, I don't know, it's $130. I forgot what it's called. Or something.
The Eldrazi one.
The other ones are, reasonably priced.
I would make the point, though, that what good does it do to bring back MSRP if it's not an enforced thing? Like, there's no obligation. And they say there was never an obligation for stores to sell at MSRP. So you can sell it for whatever you want. So they're trying to stop people from listing low or high and, like, establishing the price for everybody else. And it's still going to happen.
By putting out an official statement like this.
Yeah.
It's CYA, covering your behind. That's basically what they're doing. And I can understand that. And a lot of stores are going to defer and say, hey, if I raise the prices from $4.99 up to $5.29 or $5.49 for a play booster, people are going to say, well, how come you raise your price? That's what Wizards is telling me. I can do that as an MSRP.
Wizards said what the price is.
However, I am not doing that. If it costs me more from my distributor, I'm charging you more.
I was going to say, you're not going to commit to that unless they are going to start charging you more because they say it's worth more. But
yeah, and I can't see why the foundation set is, and I think what my sales rep said this morning, that's the only one that's going to have a reduced price to the retailer.
I think the reason that it's reduced is because they're trying to get people into the game.
Yeah, but let's face it, $8, versus, $8 more. That's not that much. For 36 packs, what does that come out to? $8? That's 20 cents a pack, maybe. Yeah. That's not a hell of a lot. So I'm not going to change my price. It's going to be the same.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Well, that's all I had off of the stuff I pulled from Magic News. I thought those were the big things kind of for us to talk about. These releases are going onto the release calendar. MSRP is going to come back. I appreciate you sharing your perspective on how MSRP works and what it's going to do as far as your business goes. Nothing. But for other people, they may use it as an excuse or justification to charge different prices. And I guess that's how that works. If you don't want to buy from those people, buy from somebody else. Buy from John. But you have to come to the store. John, stop. Pokemonsters?
No. One Piece.
One Piece news.
Rant and rave time.
Strap in, folks. John is bringing you the latest update in a series we call Ranting and Raving. It's usually about One Piece.
Yes.
TCG, not the
And
TV
I don't
show.
think it's Bandai's fault.
Not Bandai's fault.
I don't think so. I just shot off an email to them this morning that they have before it was through a questionnaire. And I'm not sure how much they read that. But this was a direct email, available to retailers to ask a question or complain in my case.
Okay.
All right. The new decks came out. They were available this weekend. And I think there was 5 or 6 decks.
Yeah.
Now,
I saw folks were in the store asking about those.
Yeah. A month ago or a month and a half ago, I had to pre-order them from my distributor, Alliance Games. And I was joking with him. I said, what the hell is the sense of pre-ordering? You're not going to give me any anyway.
Right.
He said, oh, yeah, we'll allocate some to you. Well, lo and behold, He didn't change the quantity. He put two of each, two displays of each, and I wanted one display of each because a store of this size, I can't sell one or two displays. He never changed that. However, when I got in there, it says back order, back order, back order, back order.
So you got allocated. But they didn't ship you any.
I didn't get allocated. I had the option to order. I was not allocated any. So, yeah, that's the difference.
That's even worse.
So, I have an event set up for November 9th as a starter deck tournament that I'm not going to have starter decks for. And the reason, I had to think ahead. The same thing happened with the last set, Two Legends OP8.
OP8, yeah.
I had ordered 12 boxes, and the release when it came out, I got Zippo. And then the other day, I got a notification from my sales rep, hey, John, we have 5 boxes for you. That was 5 weeks after the release. So I took them. Instead of buying them on eBay from that guy that's got 700 and something boxes sold, which pisses me off.
Your favorite.
But, the thing is, if I get those decks 5 weeks after the fact, everybody's bought them already. They usually buy decks in advance. One guy bought them. I guess he bought them online because he
brought them in the store.
He bought them in the store. I don't have any problem with that. I mean,
he tried to get them from you.
I know
he said it.
I know, but I didn't have it. So I'm curious to see what Bandai is going to respond to me about and how they're going to respond, because by not getting any allocation whatsoever, how can I promote the game for Bandai?
What are you supposed to do? Print the cards out yourself?
Yeah. And I already have 3 people pre-signed up for that event on the 9th, and I can't even get in there to cancel it.
Oh, gosh.
I think there's a way for me to do it, but I'd have to cancel out the 3 people individually and then cancel out the event. But I'm going to wait to see what Bandai says. But I already told my distributor, I said, take off the back orders. I don't want them because I don't want them 5 or 6 weeks from now. It makes no sense.
Yeah. No, I mean,
that's my rant and rave for today about this.
I think that's a pretty fair rant and rave. You've sent your message. You've shared it with the community here. I empathize.
Well, when you sign up for tournaments through Bandai's website, where do you get your product from, or who is your preferred distributor? For One Piece, it's 2 places. It's GTS and it's Alliance Games, which I have an account with Alliance Games for years. You would think by signing up for that, they would say, all right, to Alliance Games, you have to give this store an allocation because they're running an event.
Well, they're like, hey, tell us where you're getting the stuff from, and we'll make sure that we give them some boxes. And so then they're like, okay, we gave some boxes to Alliance for John Shop. And then it's like, oh, actually, we felt like this other guy pays us more, so we hooked him up with your boxes.
That's exactly what's happening. See, all distributors don't act that way. Again, my primary distributor is Southern Hobby, and I've been dealing with them for years, and they're good. And Peach State is great. The others, not so good as far as my opinion. But it is what it is, Noah.
I know. It's hard.
It's frustrating.
We're going to need 400 more Patreons so that we can up your purchase order with Alliance.
It wouldn't make a damn bit of difference anyway. I'd probably piss some ears.
All right, let's talk about Pokemon news and wrap up the news with that. Pokemon's got Surging Sparks coming out in a couple weeks. Mm-hmm. Again, this is the Pikachu Frontliner set. They've got a big fancy Pikachu on all the products because, as has been proven over the course of 20 years, putting Pikachu on things makes things sell better. It's going to look great on the shelves at Target, John. But speaking of big box stores, they announced today a special set of promo cards when you go make your purchases at your favorite big box store.
For Pokemon?
Yeah.
Great.
Special promos. In the United States, if you go to GameStop, you can get Terrapagos and Sprigatito. If you go to Best Buy, you can get Terrapagos and Fuecoco. And if you go to your local Pokemon Center, you can get Terrapagos and Quaxley. That's right, John. Now, special promo cards for GameStop and Best Buy before you.
Do you think Best Buy is going to do that? How the hell are they going to do that?
It's not clear to me.
I mean, I could see GameStop because it's a smaller store, but Best Buy, how are you going to do that? You're going to have somebody go around, oh, you bought these packs of this, you're going to get this promo? That's not going to happen.
Look, it says if you make a qualifying purchase of $15 or more from one of these retailers, you'll get hooked up.
That'll be interesting. I'm going to be really looking forward to the comments online about this one.
Well, and these promo cards are supposed to be, they're stamped with a Pokemon Horizon stamp because that's the current TV show that's out for Pokemon, and the new season's going to roll. And so this is like a promotion for the new season.
Are they excluding Target and Walmart?
Target and Walmart probably didn't agree to hand them out at the cash register. Best Buy was like, yeah, hook us up.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
GameStop was like, we got you.
Yeah, right.
And well, they own the Pokemon centers, so they just told those guys to do it.
Yeah, it's going to be. Yeah, I'd like to see it, but ultimately, how this is going to be implemented.
Well, I'll go to Best Buy and GameStop. We don't have a local Pokemon center, do we?
No,
I don't think there's one near here. I think it's like New York is the closest.
I don't
know. Things to Google.
And I'm not sending you to New York either.
I can't get that on your dime?
Nope. You're not going to Vegas and you're not going to New York.
Well, hold on. We're still negotiating Vegas.
No, we're not.
I've got a Toy Factory t-shirt I'm going to put on and go rep the shop. I don't know. How do I find a local store? I have no idea.
I think it's in New York. Or maybe, there may be one in Atlanta. Maybe.
Where are Pokemon Center store locations? Let's find that. In the U.S., you can go to our website. That didn't help me. I was there. All right. I give up on that. All right. Well, folks, let's transition over to our core topic for today, and we'll let John talk to us a little bit about finances and budgeting for your card store.
I'm still pissed off about this One Piece stuff. Hold on one second. Let me get my notes.
Well, I mean, One Piece does contribute to your budget. It opens up extra for you to purchase more Magic cards.
Yeah.
At MSRP.
Yeah. You're being a smartass. Can I say that?
I mean, it happened. So tell us, John, you said you're going to stretch us over 2 more episodes to finish out our Financing Your Dream series. So tell us a little bit about what we're talking about today.
All right. Today I'm going to talk about expanding smartly and staying on budget. And I guess next week we'll just wrap it up with, an accumulation of everything over the last 3 weeks, go-to resources and things like that. I did have a note here if I can find what the hell I'm looking for. Topic for next week is Alas for Finances and Funding Your Passion. Talk about being creative and taking steps to balance your inventory. What you need to do. That'll wrap it up. All right, today, again, we're just going to talk about expanding smartly. A lot of people over the years have said to me, why don't you open up another store, make it bigger?
Yeah.
And I've always said to myself, look, I'm getting old. I run the store by myself and I understand my limitations. I did take on another store that was going under in another town a number of years ago. And I ran it for a year and it worked out pretty well. I had my son and another guy running it and it worked out pretty well. However, ultimately, I sold it because I was having some physical problems. I had a hip replacement and I couldn't make it up there. So I decided to sell the store. But having 2 stores like that, even though they were only 25 miles apart, was really a chore. I mean, I had to do ordering for both stores. I had to make sure both stores was running properly. The finances were right. I was paying the bills and all that. All right. I guess that's a little bit of an ancillary type thing. Again, about going into a bigger space. Why? If what you're doing is working, unless you're super aggressive and you think you're going to make tons of money, why go to a bigger location, especially if it's only a couple miles away? Invariably, you're going to be paying more rent, which equates to more overhead as far as, utilities and things like that. And to pay for that stuff, you're going to have to open up more days or more hours, extend your hours, which means that you can't do it yourself. Now, I'm talking about somebody that's a sole proprietor that works the store by themselves, that has people come in occasionally to help out. But if you expand your business, you're going to need help, and that's where your overhead's going to go up. And I don't know if it's a good idea to do so. And a lot of people said, well, why don't you do this to the store? Why don't you do that to the store? I rent this space, and I am not going to improve it to the betterment of the landlord if I can avoid it. I mean, the place is clean. I'd love to take up this carpet, the carpet, and put up, put a hard floor down, or up. Well, it's hard floor underneath the concrete, and get it refinished or something like that.
Yeah.
But that'll be a couple $1,000s, and I'm not sure how long this facility is going to be here, or if I'm going to be at this, be able to stay here, because they're liable to sell the building. And I'm not going to spend that kind of money. And look around in your town or your area where you think you want to go to a bigger space. Make sure you check out how much more. Say you're paying $2,000 a month in rent, and you say, "Oh God, I want to open up a bigger store. It's going to be 600 square feet more." Are you really going to get 600 square feet more in business to sustain a higher rent? Because your rent may be $3,500 a month. It may be $4,000 a month, and you got to make sure that you're able to cover that. And just don't do things on a whim. Oh well, this has a better location. It doesn't really make that much difference. People are going to find you where you are anyway,
Right.
Especially your regular customers. If they know that you're on a back street someplace, they're going to find you and they're going to be happy. The most important thing is have a clean location, relatively safe, and have great parking. That's what you need. If you go downtown or something like that where it is parallel parking in the streets, that's not good for the players.
Especially limited parking, right?
Yeah, that's exactly it. All right, getting back to location, your inventory costs will remain the same. All right, you may need more inventory to fill up that bigger space, but your basic inventory prices for what you pay is probably going to be the same.
Well, isn't the issue, like the real core issue about how much space you need is how big your tournaments are? Like how many people can you fit in the store to play a game?
How many can I?
Well, I mean, I think that's the question about how big of a space do you need?
The old adage is if you build it, they will come. That's not going to happen all the time.
Right.
And the reason being is so much damn competition. Everybody and their brother is opening up little stores here and there. So the market for gaming stores is becoming saturated. And when you're in a location, like say it is 2,000 gamers in this location, well, 1,000 of them are going to go here, or 500 here, 500 here, 200 here, 200 here. And then you open up another store and you say, well, that's 500, 500, that's 1,400. They're going to get 100. So everybody's going to lose from their 500 and 500, if that makes any sense. You're going to lose a little bit of your piece of the pie as more and more stores open up. And the gaming manufacturers who authorize whether you can open up a store or not open up a store, but if you can get product from them through the distributor. I mean, it's a collaborative effort between both of them. They don't care. They're just having another opportunity to sell product, but they're basically selling the same amount of product. Instead of being concentrated over 5 stores, now it's concentrated over 6 stores.
Yeah.
So look at what you have, be satisfied with what you have. Unless you have deeper pockets, if money's not the object, then go for it. I mean, I think it'd be foolish.
Well, I mean, I think it's fair to say that people need to consider the money when they're making that kind of a decision, because you are going to increase your cash outlay to have a bigger space. And I don't think, I mean, it's a business. Like, while the primary, like, underlying currency of this is that, like, a lot of people play games as a hobby, like, we're talking about a business. Like, you're running a business. It is your business. It's not just your hobby. You're not here because this is your, like, side thing where you do this because you love card games and it's like the coolest thing that you've ever achieved is getting to run card games, and that, like, you're...
Well, see, that's the biggest misnomer at all. If you're a gamer and you want to open up a store because you're a gamer and you think you're going to sit down and play games, don't do it.
Right.
You got to be a businessman first.
Well, you're running a business.
Yeah.
And so when you're making the business decision, a business decision is based about money. Can I make more money with this decision, or do I make less money? Or do I spend more and make less? Like, if you get a bigger space, can you fill the seats for tournaments? And does that mean net positive over the course of a month or net negative over the course of a month?
From my experience, it's going to be net negative.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to get that many people in a bigger space. If, say, you're getting 20 people religiously in an event, you may get 22, 24 if your space is a little bit bigger. But who cares? It's not going to make that much difference.
Also, in a community like ours, there's a lot of new development. There's a lot of people getting, new homes and moving into the area. If you were to somehow solicit and draw in, 30 or 40% more players, and your store was packed over capacity every week for 3 months, do you have a different opinion about size?
I'd have to evaluate it at the time and look to see. I mean, I'm not going to move it to another city,
Right?
Because that's not productive. If I saw a location at a strip mall that was bigger that I could afford, and I'd have to really look at it and look at the lease terms and things like that. And the cost of moving. I mean, I'd have to move all of this stuff out and refit another store at my cost, probably. Maybe the person I'm renting the building from, but that's probably not going to happen. So there's an expense involved, and
it's a lot of expenses.
Yeah, people got to look at all the different things. And the next topic I want to talk about is staying on budget.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Where do we get our budget from?
All right, sticking to a budget is pivotal to staying in business. The retailer's goal should be to maintain a profit margin of about 20%. All right, that's important. And then inventory costs should be around 40% of revenue. Should be. Let me see. A general operating budget rule allocates about 40% of revenue, which includes occupancy, such as rent, utilities, security, and maintenance, at or below 13%. Compensation costs, such as salary, the person who owns the business, salary, wages, payroll taxes, and employee benefits. I'm not sure how many stores can afford employee benefits other than giving them a discount on product, at 13%. Marketing expenses should be at 4%. Let's see. And administrative and general operating expenses should be kept at 10% of revenue. So that equates to that 40%. I guess that's right. 40%. Yeah. That's all I have to say about that, Noah.
That's what you got?
That's it.
I mean, I think those numbers are important. I think those are guideline numbers. I think people might fluctuate those like up and down a little bit depending on where they are and what they're trying to do.
Yeah, it depends upon location too.
Well, the bottom line though is that you need to have a budget and you need to stay true to your budget. Like, understand what your budget is. Don't overspend. Don't stretch yourself in ways that you're not prepared to, and make sure that you are having income that exceeds your expenses. Otherwise, you're going to be in a world of hurt really fast, right?
I've heard of numerous instances where people have bought so much product because they got it maybe at $1 a box cheaper. And then the product is not a good product and they can't sell it. And then it sits on their shelves, or, ultimately they put it online and sell it through a third party and they lose money on it. Again, be very careful with what you order. Only order what you think you could sell. You can always get more. And if you can't get it, so be it.
Well, then, I think that's a good way to wrap up our core topic for the week, and we can jump over to our 3 E's segment. For those of you that are new to the podcast, we like to educate, enlighten, and entertain, which is where we get the name 3 E's from. And in this segment, traditionally, we hear from John about various facts from the world that are often not gaming related to help us be a little bit smarter and brighter every single day. John, do you want to start us off?
Sure. Where the hell did you come up with that script from? Did you write that out?
I talk for a living. I made it up.
Oh, okay. That was impressive. No,
I try.
You're getting better at it.
I do.
Daylight savings time ends next Sunday, November 3rd at 2 a.m. And the old adage is spring ahead, fall behind. So you have to set your clocks back an hour. And in next episode, next week, I have a whole printed out thing about daylight savings time and the origins of it and so forth and so on. But I had things for today I wanted to talk about. Did you know that the Liberty Bell in Philadelphia, there's actually two of them that were cast?
I'm aware of that.
Okay. The other one's in California someplace. But did you know that there's a typo on it?
Yes.
What is the typo?
I don't remember, but I've heard this.
There's a typo. Our founding fathers or whoever, cast the bell, put only one N in Pennsylvania.
Oops.
Yep.
Are you sure it wasn't in the crack, though?
Nope. Because I looked online this morning. I looked at the thing at the crack, and it's not there. It's
Wow.
at the top. One N in Pennsylvania. How the hell did they miss that? Oh, let me see. Oh, this is a funny one. There's a town in Kentucky called Rabbit Hash, Kentucky, that a dog has served as the mayor since 1998.
What?
A dog. And currently, the dog's name is Wilbur. He's a French bulldog. He was elected mayor when he was 6 months old back in 2020. And reported they use it, canine mayors, often as part of fundraisers. I got online and I saw Wilbur this morning. It's quite funny.
Did you donate to his cause?
Our government's going to the dogs anyway, so what the hell's the difference?
Yeah.
We're having a mayor, so what's the difference?
That works.
Let me see what else.
Do you want me to do mine while you look at yours?
You got one too.
All right, I brought one to the table today. In my internet lifing, I found out that there is a 4-man anti-poaching team that permanently guards the last 2 northern white rhinos on the earth.
They follow them around?
They do. All day, every day,
Really?
24/7. They ride around this nature conservancy, and they make sure that in Kenya, and make sure that nobody kills the last 2 rhinos on Earth, or white rhinos, northern white rhinos. There's lots of different kinds of rhinos, it turns out. But in 2018, the last male of the species died, and so the species is functionally extinct.
So there are 2 females.
They're 2 females. And they are going to live out their lives as the last 2 northern white rhinos. But even though that's incredibly sad and they're functionally extinct, the government of Kenya finds it important to protect them and to preserve them for as long as possible. And so there's 4 dudes with guns that ride around in a Jeep and watch these rhinos all day.
That's cool.
They sometimes have to supplement their food and stuff, but
could they do a sex change to the female rhino?
No, but it made me wonder, if when this other rhino died, if there was a possibility to harvest sperm or something and do fertilization. I mean, that didn't happen. He was also the father of these 2 rhinos.
Okay.
So they'd
would have been inbred.
They'd eventually have inbreeding problems if he was.
They could have become zebra colored then, or something like that, right?
Yeah.
That's interesting, though.
Yeah.
In Kenya.
So there you go. Kenya, 2 rhinos all alone with 4 guys walking around with guns guarding them.
All right, my last one for today.
Okay.
Lake Superior.
And opposed to Lake Inferior.
One of our Great Lakes for those that need a little bit more edification on it.
Yeah.
It's the biggest of them, right?
Well, that's why they call it Superior.
Well,
not
why
just
couldn't
because
they call
of its
it Lake
ego.
Big then, or something like that? Lake Superior? I don't know.
It's an ego thing.
Yeah, I guess.
Where do you
live?
Huh? Lake Erie. Well, I live at Lake Superior.
That's because it's near Erie, whatever.
Pennsylvania?
New York, Pennsylvania, or whatever the hell it is. Lake Superior is big. Seriously big. It holds an insane 3 quadrillion gallons of water. That's a full 10% of all the fresh water in the world. There's also enough water in the lake to cover the whole of North and South America in a foot of water. I never realized it was, that big.
I mean, it's huge. It's got its own weather system, man.
Yeah, I know.
Can you name all the Great Lakes?
I used to. Erie, Huron, Ontario, Superior, and Inferior.
Michigan?
Michigan, yeah. See, I would have gotten it. That's it. Let me see.
That's what you got?
Well, if you want to know where the water from Lake Superior goes, eventually it goes to the Atlantic Ocean.
Yes.
Okay.
They're all connected.
Let's see. In states of Minnesota to the west and Michigan and Wisconsin to the south. It drains into Lake Huron via St. Mary's River, then through the lower Great Lakes to the St. Lawrence River, and ultimately the Atlantic Ocean.
Yep.
See what you guys learned today?
No.
No, you maybe not.
Yes.
I just named another lake.
You did.
Inferior.
The sixth Great Lake.
There isn't any.
No.
Lake George.
All right. Well, let's close this out before we get more foolish today. Folks, thank you for joining us on Card Shop Insiders. We're grateful for your support and listening. For those of you who would like to know more or support the show, you can like, subscribe, and follow us on all the different platforms: Spotify, iTunes, Patreon, Twitter, Instagram, X, YouTube. And we're working really hard to make our YouTube thing work better, so we'd appreciate it if you would watch and listen to this on YouTube if you haven't already, and that you would comment on our latest episode. Answer some questions for us. Tell us why you like Topeka, Kansas. Tell us what you think about John not getting One Piece cards. Or tell us how many One Piece cards are in your local or game store. We'd like to give a special thank you to our Patreon patrons. We do have a Patreon page where one of the benefits is that you get a behind-the-scenes video where John and I talk about the podcast and what we're doing to try to make the podcast better. And sometimes we talk about other things. But we're going to do that a little bit more after this episode closes in just a second. And before we do, we wanted to say thank you to Ben, Grant, Brandon, Logan, Drayden, Jake, and Brian, our Patreon patrons. Did we double check and make sure we didn't get any new Patreon patrons?
No, that's your job.
I didn't double check.
I don't have access to this stuff.
We did not. Congratulations. All right. If you'd like to interact with us, though, share a comment on the YouTubes. Tell us what you'd like to hear more about. And finally, on the Patreon if you're able to. Otherwise, we'll see you next time for Behind the Counter.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate you listening.